You're on the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. Do you know what happens when the law of the land no longer matters? ZeroHedge.com had an article that kind of got my attention this week. They wrote, according to the Wall Street Journal, Mr. Biden has said he plans to make a priority of passing a law against domestic terrorism. I find it personally interesting that a president thinks he can pass a law to stop terrorism. It'd be like stopping people from breathing. And he's been urged to create a White House post overseeing the fight against ideologically inspired violent extremists and increasing funding to combat them. Did you know that Biden has often boasted about being the original author of the U.S. Patriot Act? The first draft of the civil rights eroding U.S. Patriot Act was magically introduced 1 week after the 9/11 attacks. Legislators later admitted they hadn't even had time to read through the hundreds of pages of the history-shaping bill before passing it the very next month. Yet somehow its authors were able to gather all the necessary information and write the whole entire thing in a week. That's because the work had already been done. CNET reported in 2008 that, quote, months before the Oklahoma City bombing took place, then Senator Joe Biden introduced a bill called the Omnibus Counterterrorism Act of 1995. The Center for National Security Studies said the bill would erode constitutional and statutory due process protections and would authorize the Justice Department to pick and choose crimes to investigate and prosecute based on political beliefs and associations. Biden's bill was never put to a vote. Civil libertarians were staunchly opposed. But after 9/11, then Attorney General John Ashcroft reportedly credited his bill with the foundations of what we now know as the USA Patriot Act. At that time, the Center for National Security Studies said the bill would erode, quote, constitutional and statutory due process protections, among other things. But now CIA analyst turned House Representative Elissa Slotkin says the single greatest national security threat is our internal division. The threat of domestic terrorism and the polarization that threatens our democracy are two threats that push against our unity and thereby our strength. If we don't reconnect our two Americas, the threats will not have to come from the outside. Along with this comes Google's censorship of Twitter accounts. President Trump's account has been shut down, as well as others. A program called Parler has been removed from its app store. Observers expect Apple to follow suit. All of which is happening just in time for the Biden administration, about which there has already grave concerns regarding the future of internet censorship. The censorship of a political faction at the hands of a few liberal Silicon Valley billionaires will do the exact opposite of eliminating right-wing paranoia and conspiracy theories, and everybody knows it. ZeroHedge.com says they're not trying to make things better, they're trying to make them worse. Deliberately so. They're not trying to restore peace and order. They're trying to force a confrontation so your political enemies can be crushed. They are accelerationists, not a curb on dangerous speed.